Officials are investigating one of Pomeroy's largest industrial fires. There's a lot of excitement surrounding Ohio's basketball programs. The men's team has a new coach while the women's team may play in the NIT. U.S. security officials are addressing security concerns after recent terror attacks abroad. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Good evening, I'm Ben Schwartz. Thank you for joining us. A fire that engulfed Mountaineer Metals in Pomeroy Saturday night is still under investigation. The fire was reported at 11:15 p.m. and it took over 70 firefighters to finally put it out around 4:30 a.m. Nobody was injured and the fire was contained within the building. Fire Chief Rick Blaitner says he estimates 250,000 gallons of water were used to contain one of the largest fires he's ever dealt with.
Well, this is definitely top 10 that we've had. This is probably the biggest industrial fire that we've had.
Blaitner says the fire got out of control so quickly because of all the metal equipment and products within the building. The cause of the fire is still being investigated by the fire marshal, and it is unknown when the area will be cleared. An Ohio construction firm is being accused of defaulting on at least 3 uncompleted taxpayer-funded projects. The Chillicothe Gazette reports that Columbus-based Palmetto Construction quit at least 3 multi-million-dollar projects in the state. Palmetto was paid more than $1 million to renovate Ross County Jail and a Franklin County fire station, and nearly $3 million for the construction of a Hocking Hills State Park visitor center. Brian Baker has been appointed as a new Athens Township trustee. This comes following Eddie Smith's resignation earlier this month. Baker will finish up Smith's term before going on the ballot this November. Baker is also an equipment operator for the Athens County Engineer's Office, and any resident interested in running has until August 7th to file with Athens County. An Ohio state agency designed to cut through state bureaucracy is now itself backlogged. The Common Sense Initiative was formed in 2011 to help make Ohio business-friendly. The Columbus Dispatch reports the agency's backlog totaled more than 1,000 business regulation rules for review. Backlogged rules include rules on alcohol and drug testing, health product standards, drinking water standards, and water source protection. Lieutenant Governor John Husted instructed his staff to wipe out the remaining backlog by April. Ohio is suing a company that managed prescription benefits for the State Bureau of Workers' Compensation. The state wants to recover nearly $16 million in alleged overcharges for the Injured Workers Fund. Attorney General Dave Yost says Optum Rx Administrative Services managed drug prescriptions for BWC clients, but didn't provide contractually arranged discounts on generic drugs between 2015 and 2018. Doctors in Ohio are raising concerns about rules requiring counseling for drug addiction treatment. The Dayton Daily News reports the state medical board currently requires patients to have counseling if they receive Suboxone, a drug used to treat addiction. The board proposed rules specifying which types of counseling or therapy qualify. Some doctors and other critics say rules requiring specific counseling could limit the number of doctors treating people with addiction. President Trump is taking to Twitter to demand that General Motors reopen or sell its plant in Lordstown, Ohio. Trump tweeted today, quote, "General Motors and the UAW are going to start talks in September or October. Why wait? Start them now. I want jobs to stay in the USA and want Lordstown, Ohio, in one of the best economies in our history, opened or sold to a company who will open it up fast." Production at the plant ended earlier this month. GM says the president and his tweets will not affect the company's future plans. A Toyota executive is warning possible new tariffs by the U.S. could threaten its planned $750 million investment in the U.S. The Japanese carmaker announced Thursday it plans to add nearly 600 new jobs at plants in Alabama, Tennessee, and West Virginia. Jim Lentz, head of Toyota North America, warned Friday the tariffs President Trump has threatened to impose on foreign vehicles would make it harder for Toyota to follow through on the investment. Now, The Midwest is facing record-breaking floods. We'll have the latest when Newswatch returns.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. It was a pretty comfortable day today in Athens. We had temperatures nearing the 50s, starting to feel a little bit more like spring. It's pretty comfortable right now, 47 degrees and sunny. We have a calm evening, winds 8 miles per hour, and around the region we are seeing temperatures in the mid to lower 40s, 47 degrees in Athens, 44 in Marietta, 46 in Ripley, 45 in Chillicothe, and 43 in Columbus. Now, as we look at the hour by hour for tonight, we're going to see the temperatures take a steep drop into the 20s as we go throughout the evening. 9 o'clock, it'll be 36 degrees and clear, and it'll stay clear throughout the night tonight. We'll have some high pressure making pretty calm conditions for the next couple of days. Midnight it'll be 31 degrees, and 5 a.m. starting tomorrow off pretty cold, 27 degrees, although we will have another warm up throughout this week and throughout the day tomorrow, so we'll have your full 7-day forecast coming up later on in the show. Now we'll head over to Tommy for sports.
Thanks, Taylor. Hi, I'm Thomas Garverick. Today has been absolutely wild, bonkers, crazy, chaotic. I mean, I could go on and on. Busy day for both Ohio basketball teams. I'll start with this morning. The men's team introduced Jeff Bowles as the new head coach of the Bobcats. Bowles spent the previous 5 years as the head coach of Stony Brook. Bowles is also an Ohio alum who was a 2-year captain on the basketball team during his time in Athens. So Bowles is happy to be home and coaching his alma mater.
Got a jersey for Coach Bowles. This is Jeff's number, 45. Change that. So Jeff, I just really want to welcome you home.
Thank you. Tell you what, thankfully, one of the criteria wasn't a great player, because that would have been scratched off a list pretty quickly. But extremely honored and gratefully humbled to be back home. And I think when I walked into the Convocation Center, I looked up and saw the rafters, saw the banners, saw the seats, and it brought back a flood of memories. And a lot of them positive, a couple negative, but just seeing the banners and the Convocation Center floor, there's no better place.
New beginnings are very exciting for all of us in our lives. And I think today we embark on a new chapter in the history of Ohio men's basketball with Jeff's hire. Although this search was very short, there was a comprehensive review on a national level of great head coaches and assistant coaches to meet really what we were looking for in a new head coach. And Jeff checked all the boxes and he fit all the criteria that we had.
I always tell people, how'd you get into coaching? And I tell them I literally fell into coaching. I want to be a physical therapist. Through all my knee surgeries, spent a lot of time with physical therapists and trainers. Felt like that was my calling. And at the end of my senior year, when 20 games in, I wish my head coach could be here today.
Sorry, you're good.
Coach Hunter meant a lot to me, and wish he could be here, but he got me started in coaching. And 24 years later, here we are. And it's hard to believe how it's come full circle.
Pretty emotional bite you heard there at the end. Coach Bowles, his high school head coach, Larry Hunter, passed away just very recently, so he's very sad not to have him. Bowles is the 19th head coach in program history, and he'll be trying to get Ohio back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2012. Later on in the show, the Ohio women's basketball team was supposed to find out if they would make the NCAA tournament at 7 p.m. during the women's selection reveal, but the bracket was leaked at 4:30. Find out if Ohio made the tournament coming up on Newswatch. And a bomb cyclone storm brought hurricane-like winds and heavy snow and rain, and now record-breaking floods to the Midwest. That story's still ahead. Welcome back. I'm Thomas Garrick. On Saturday, the Ohio women's basketball team had a chance to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament in the MAC title game against Buffalo. Both teams going into the game were on the last four in line as of Saturday, as if either team needed extra motivation. Let's take you to the highlights. Ohio was hoping to win the MAC tournament for the first time since 2015, and boy, pregame was absolutely electric inside the Q. And Ohio actually got off to a good start. Amani Berg scored the Bobcats' first 5 points, including this three ball. But then after that, it was an avalanche of Buffalo triples. Hannah Hall, she hit 4 of the Bulls' 9 first-half threes. Sierra Dillard did her thing, drills it from distance. Bulls up 23-14 after one. Ohio would respond with threes of their own. Dom Dosick, that's good from downtown. Ohio within 3, but then Buffalo goes on a 17-2 run. And guess who? It's Hannah Hall again. Bang! Buffalo led 43-28 at the break. Ohio had no answer for Buffalo from beyond the arc. And this is when you know it's your night. Dillard banks in the 3, and then it's Hall again. She torched Ohio from the three-point line. But Ohio would rally at the end of the third. Cece Hooks to the hoop. Yes, she led Ohio with 17 points. Ohio down 11 at the end of 3. Desperation heave by Gabby Burrs. That goes in. Ohio had some momentum, but Buffalo just flexed its muscles. Hall to Summer Hemphill, who had a monster game, 12 points, 18 boards. She puts it in. The Bulls win 77-61. They're the 2019 MAC champs, and they're going dancing. With the 77-61 loss to Buffalo in the title game, the question was if Ohio would receive an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. It played out that Ohio needed to win that game to get to the big dance. The committee initially released yesterday that Ohio was one of 8 teams considered for the final 4 spots in the field. The selection show was supposed to happen at 7 p.m., but as I said before the break, it was released around 4:30 and Ohio was not in the field. The NCAA came out and announced that it was indeed the correct bracket. So now it's official. Ohio left out of the NCAA tournament. When we talked with head coach Bob Bowen after the MAC championship game on Saturday, he said the team would accept an invite to either the NCAA tournament or the women's NIT. The NIT selection show is scheduled to be at 9 p.m. tonight, but who knows after what happened with the events that took place today. But the expectation is that since Ohio was being considered for one of the final spots in the NCAA tournament, that they will most likely receive a high seed that would result in them hosting at least one, if not multiple, NIT games in the combo. This will be confirmed again at 9 p.m. once the NIT bracket is released. Bobcat Showcase will talk to head coach Bob Bowen and the rest of the team tomorrow to get reaction from all this chaos. So stay tuned on WOUB.org for the latest information. Just an unbelievable day here in Athens. Jeff Bowles announced the head coach of the men's team and the Ohio women's basketball team left out of the NCAA tournament. A lot to digest for fans of the green and white. This is March, everyone, the pinnacle of sports, which is why days like today can happen. And that's all I've got for sports. Coming up, with terror abroad popping up across the world, the U.S. is addressing concerns. These stories are next on Newswatch. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
deadly flooding across Nebraska and Iowa, and authorities warning that it could get worse. Camila Bernal explains why meteorologists say flood risks will remain high all week throughout the Midwest.
The flooding in Nebraska could get worse before it gets better.
This is just a little too much to take in right now. It's like I look out there and I just see nothing but a big ocean.
Flood records have been shattered and more expected this week.
My father says this is the worst one since '44. He's lived here his whole entire life. He's in the trailer house. It's gone. I don't know what we're going to do with him.
The flooding has already killed 2 people in Nebraska and 1 man in Iowa.
People who were lost and washed away in the water, and we've got 1 person missing we still haven't found yet. So what we really want people to do is to stay safe. If you see water, don't try to cross it.
More than 8 million people are under flood warnings, in part because of the rapid melting of ice and snow.
Ice jam's also a prominent threat now as we're seeing all this melting and the ice and debris get into the rivers and waterways.
The big concern now, floodwater draining downstream, getting to communities that can't take much more.
This really is the most devastating flooding we've probably ever had in our state's history from the standpoint of how widespread it is.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
The spokesman for Nebraska Governor Ricketts says FEMA's regional director will be visiting Nebraska tomorrow to expedite federal disaster aid paperwork. Now, as we switch over to our weather from Athens, we'll see we're in the temperatures nearing the 50s today, but right now it's 47 degrees and sunny. We have a pretty calm evening ahead. Now, we will see temperatures drop overnight, but right now it's feeling pretty comfortable. We are able to see some sunshine today, feeling pretty nice with high pressure in the region. Around the region, we're seeing temperatures in the lower 40s, 45 in Chillicothe, 47 in Athens, 41 in New Lexington, and 43 in Columbus. So it's a pretty comfortable evening tonight. You can't complain too much. Maybe head outside and enjoy some of that weather right now. We are starting to feel a little bit more like spring, I'd say. Now, our high for today of 47 and a low of 26. A little bit below average, high of 53, low of 31. And we got our record temperatures not too long ago, 2012, 78, our record high, and record low, 16 in 1985. So that seems pretty brutally cold. Luckily, we're well above those temperatures for today. Now, as we go throughout the evening tonight, 9 o'clock, 36 degrees and clear. Now, we'll stay clear throughout the night tonight, but we're going to start to see the temperatures take a steep drop off overnight into freezing temperatures. And in the morning, it's going to be pretty cold. So as we can see going throughout midnight, 31 degrees and clear, and 5 a.m., 27 degrees, a cold start to your Tuesday tomorrow. Bus stop forecast, we have a cold start. Make sure you're bundled up, get the kids their coats because I said the spring-like temperatures are coming, but the mornings are still going to be fairly cold for the rest of the week this week. Even though we're going to start to see a little bit warmer temperatures, mornings are still going to be cold and you will need to bring that coat with you to work or school. Winds will be calm out of the southwest at 1 mile per hour. Now, as we look at our hour by hour for tomorrow, as you go throughout the day, we're going to start to see it warm up and not feel too cold anymore. 9 a.m. will still be in freezing, 31 degrees and sunny. Around lunchtime, it'll be 44 degrees and partly cloudy. And on your way home from work, it'll be 47 degrees and partly cloudy. So it will get to be some pretty comfortable temperatures as you go throughout the day. However, we'll just have that cold start in the morning. Now, if we look at our precipcast, for our area, we have some high pressure overtaking the region. We're not going to see any rain within the next couple of days. As we look at tomorrow as well, we've still got some high pressure. So it should feel pretty comfortable, and that's why it's going to feel pretty nice out in the next couple of days, and we'll see that sunshine, calm conditions ahead for us in Athens. Now, as we look at our 7-day forecast, we're going to start to see the temperatures reach the 60s. We're just progressively getting higher as we go throughout the week. We're starting to see those spring temperatures coming. They're finally getting here. Now, as we take a look on Thursday, we do have some chance for some morning showers, 50% chance, but we will see our highs in the 50s, 51 on Thursday. Now, as we go to our weekend, high of 55 on Saturday and a high of 63 on Sunday, and we'll get some sunshine for our weekend, so that will be nice for you. And on Monday, starting next week, we'll have a high of 66. So we do have some great looking temperatures on the horizon. So we'll see our spring-like temperatures come into play throughout the week next week. But remember, the mornings still will be cold.
Days after the New Zealand massacre, police in the Dutch city of Utrecht, arrested their own suspect. Investigators say 37-year-old Gekman Tanish shot and killed at least three people and wounded 9 others inside a tram. Police have a suspect in custody and are investigating a possible, quote, terrorist motive for the deaths. Omar Jimenez is in Washington to explain how the U.S. is taking note of the security concerns around the world.
Fear inside a Dutch tram as a gunman opens fire. Police arrested a 37-year-old man, Gekman Tanish, for the deadly attack.
One of the scenarios is that it's terrorism, but we're not sure.
The shooting in the Netherlands happening just 3 days after the deadliest terror attack in New Zealand's history. Investigators there say 28-year-old Brenton Harrison Tarrant, an Australian, targeted 2 mosques in Christchurch. 50 people lost their lives. Just before the attack, investigators believe the gunman posted a link to a white nationalist manifesto. The 87-page document is filled with anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim sentiments.
There are those who do not share our values of openness, of diversity, of compassion.
As New Zealand now works to change its gun laws, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen sees domestic terrorism as a, quote, real and serious danger.
I want to make one thing very clear. We will not permit such hate in the homeland.
The secretary says she sees a range of threats.
I'm concerned about them holding our infrastructure hostage, stealing our money and secrets, exploiting children online, and even hacking our very democracy.
In Washington, I'm Omar Jimenez reporting.
This year, the Department of Homeland Security will host the first ever National Summit on Terrorism Prevention. It'll span 2 days, bringing together tech companies, NGOs, community leaders, law enforcement, social service providers, and more. They hope to better crowdsource against terror. The Supreme Court will take up the D.C. area sniper case. Lee Malvo was 17 when he took part in the October 2002 shooting spree. 10 people were killed and 3 others injured. Because he was a minor, a lower court says his sentence of life in prison without parole is unconstitutional. Virginia is seeking to appeal the ruling. Malvo's partner in crime, John Allen Muhammad, was executed by lethal injection in 2009. Malvo says Muhammad brainwashed him into committing the murder. The shooting spree spanned 21 days across the Mid-Atlantic and Washington area. A new report says the Federal Aviation Administration is being investigated over the Boeing 737 MAX plane. The report comes after all Boeing 737 MAX planes were grounded last week in the wake of crashes. The Wall Street Journal reports the Transportation Department's Inspector General has opened a probe into the FAA's approval of the plane. One probe will focus on an automatic safety system which was implicated in last October's crash of a Boeing 737 MAX jet in Indonesia. And now let's head over to Taylor for our final weather.
All right, let's take one last final look at your weather for this week, starting with our hour by hour for tomorrow. We're going to start out cold, so make sure you're wearing your coats in the morning. It'll be 31 at 9 a.m., but as you're going on your way home to work, 4 p.m., partly cloudy, it'll be 47 degrees. So we will get a warm up throughout the day, nearing the 50s, so it will start to feel pretty comfortable. But as we look at our 7-day, we'll start to see a trend of a little bit of a warm up this week. Temperatures in the 60s early next week, but remember to keep in mind on Thursday, we do have some chances for some morning showers and a high of 51. In our weekend, we will get some sunshine with some very comfortable temperatures and some sunshine. So make sure to get outside and enjoy this warmer weather.
Thank you, Taylor. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Schwartz. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.